What is up, everybody? Welcome back to WMMA Mania. This is episode 19. Happy Monday. Good to see you all. I'm your host, as always, Drake Riggs, here to provide you all your weekly needs and desires regarding the world of mixed martial arts, specifically when it comes to the ladies. So, we had quite a weekend of action across three promotions. The PFL, RIZIN, UFC. We'll be digging into all that stuff here to kick off the recap of the show. We'll be previewing UFC Vegas, 57, 58? I don't even know the numbers anymore. Just previewing the two fights. Plenty of news. There's always a lot of news, actually, this week. From people making transitions, fight announcements, all that good stuff. Good amount to talk about here on a not special holiday episode, because it's the same as always, but it is the holidays if you are in America. So thank you so much for tuning in, whether you are here for the first time or a reoccurring viewer. It means so much either way. And if you are new, do not forget, please hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share, all that good stuff. Really helps us out a whole lot. And try and provide you the best content we possibly can over here at MMA Mania. So thanks so much. If you would be so kind. If not, I understand. But if you could, that'd be great. So, how is everybody doing on this Monday? James says, I don't even watch fights anymore. I just listen to this podcast so I can pretentiously talk down to my friends who are MMA fans. Well, I'm going to take that as quite a compliment, James. Thank you for that. Makoto, Drake Riggs, best writer in MMA biz with the best WMA show. Appreciate it so much, sir. Rue says, after bangers from 275 to Austin to Vegas. Indeed. Marek is here. What's going on? Good to see you. JR Templeton, AP coming for Izzy's title. Yes, Alex Pereira. I'm very excited for that trilogy fight. Indeed. Cintro, good to see you. Hi, Drake, another positivity rule, but 276 was really disappointing. Julia and Jesse were good, but that was it. But maybe I am wrong. Obviously, we will get into UFC 276 here in a moment. That card, I didn't think it was that great either, especially compared to the ones we were getting. Obviously, a little bit spoiled recently, but 276 overall, I didn't think was that great. It had some good moments, but not that good of a card in my opinion. But hey, is what it is. It happens. Sammy says, hi, Drake. Jed accused you of cheating on BTL 2 weeks ago. He said any objective person would have voted for him, but yet he still lost by a lot. How do you respond to that? I think I addressed it last week. He's just sour. He can't put together any wins whatsoever against anybody, not just me. The guy hasn't won in I don't know how long. Every time I check in to see how he's doing, it's not good. So if I face him, if I'm defending my title against him in my next match, then my goodness, what a joke. That's how I respond. Jumbo is here. Good to see you. Hello. Someone last week, I think was Yuna, mentioned Whaley's striking coach. I looked him up on Embedded OMG. He was very cute. Can you interview him? I can try. I can, what, John Yodpetch? Is that who we're talking about? I can, try and get in touch with him for sure. Probably easier than Whaley. And hey, maybe one thing could lead to another. That'd be cool. Jimmy says, Drake with the best MMA show in the world. Oh, too kind, because he doesn't make propaganda videos of why Whaley doesn't deserve another title shot or why he's so hurt that Whaley won it. All right, well, yeah, I mean, you guys know me. I try to keep it as real as I can, and you know that I don't necessarily think she does deserve it, but I'm not going out of my way to, I don't think it's super blasphemous. I understand why she is going to get it, all these things. I just keep it real, you guys, and I'm not a passionately hateful person whatsoever. I don't think there's anybody that I could firmly say that I hate at this moment in my life. So that's good. And I think that's healthy. Jin's best women's show on YouTube. All the others are not worth watching because it's just hot takes or Jed talking like a fool. Yep, that's fair. Much appreciated. And Jin says, oh, yeah, and thanks for asking my question, Jess, about the elbows. Of course, man. Thank you for asking. I had to bring it up. And Rue says 276 was not good in his opinion. Yep, that is fair. And Joseph, going to be on your best behavior today. He says, do you see Jess getting released by the UFC? We'll talk about that in a moment, kicking off the recaps. Ghost, good to see you. Seems like we are back to the off season after this dreadful card. Great work by Volk. That was impressive. Incredible performance. I thought he looked amazing. Guy was on point, completely shut down Max. That was definitely a great performance from him. I don't know if I'd say off season. I'm really, really looking forward to all the bantamweight fights coming up. I mean, you guys know me, big admitted Dominic Cruz fan, so I'm probably 100% most looking forward to that fight coming up in August, and then there are some other ones as well. Of course, lots of good ones. Alvin, good to see you as always. Hello and good afternoon, members of the WMMA Mania channel. I'm always excited to hear all your thoughts because you gentlemen and ladies like to talk about fights with interesting ideas and takes. Oh, there we go. Good way to kick it off, of course, from Alvin. So, all right. With that in mind, everybody, we will start off with the PFL because you guys know I like to go in order of what happened. Not most recently, but what happened first. So the PFL went down on Friday, this past Friday. The lightweights, the last round before the playoffs. So we know who all is in the playoffs. And I should probably pull that up as well because I don't have it up at the moment. But first, we will look at the results. And actually, I think I can remember everybody who's in off the top of my head anyway. But I actually will admit I did not see this card either. I just saw some of the highlights. It has been a very, very busy and kind of crazy, in a good way, time in my life personally right now. So a little all over the place. But like I said, in a good way. So I did not get to see this one live, but saw some highlights. So obviously in the main event, Kayla Harrison defeated Caitlin Young, who was replacing Julia Budd. And not surprising, of course, like I said last week, Kaylin had the chance on the feet because she is the better striker. That's just the truth. More experience, the striking Viking, you name it, all that good stuff. But she got taken down, which was, very likely to happen, of course, for anybody against Kayla. And honestly, the stoppage, though, as bad of a position as it was, I thought it was kind of weak. As Kayla was on. Caitlin, full mounted her, got her on the back a little bit, as you can see, punches from the back, as it says here. But they were kind of not too hard, and she was moving as it was stopped. Like, I thought that was kind of a weak-ass stoppage. So would she have gotten out of there? Probably not, but, we will never know. So that's a bummer, and Caitlin was bummed about it too. So Kayla keeps on keeping on. No surprise. But she's not the number 1 seed. She gets the number 2 spot. So we move along to who is the number 1 seed. Larissa Pacheco once again locks that down, as she did last season, right? If I'm remembering correctly. Ground and pounded out Jenna Fabian. Hey, I mean, she's just showing off that she can mix it up. We were talking about last week how she's probably the most powerful person in this division with her hands, for sure. As we've seen just in all of her recent wins, really. And then this one managed to take down Fabian and pound her out there. So that's impressive. And the smartest, best path to victory for her. So she presumably fought smart there. Still got to go back and rewatch this one, like I said. But for her to take it there or to go there and her finish it there, that's good too. Then Marina Maknatkina defeated Abby Montez via split decision. Not sure how this one panned out, but for it to be another split, I'm very intrigued. So curious to see how that one went. But congrats to Marina. I like both of them. That's a bittersweet one, of course, for me. And then Martina Yendrova defeated Zamzagul Faizalanova. And I think even having only seen the finish of this one, Zamzagul has pretty much been exposed for having no striking whatsoever. It seems like. Again, we'll have to watch this whole thing, but man, looked very awful against Larissa. And then for Martina to go out there and style on her, not great. So as much as I want Zamzagul to do good, she has some work to do. And then Elena Kolesnik defeated Vanessa Mello in the opening fight. Surprise, surprise. That is sarcasm. I don't know if I want to go back and watch that one, honestly, because I'm sure it was not very good. Just because that's typically the case with Vanessa Mello fights. As nice as she is, I think she should just Stop. She should maybe just stop. I don't know why. I just can't believe the PFL even thought of her as an option for this season, to be fully honest. No disrespect to her whatsoever, but like she's not a lightweight. And I mean, she's not really much of a bantamweight either. Couldn't make the weight, but just in a weird spot. Disciplinary issues, I guess you could say. So, yeah. As Jimmy says, Alexander the Great uses the timing. The step was timing the step against Max. Whaley also uses it. Why aren't more fighters using it? Go said it takes no talent to use it. Should it be used more? As Go says, yes, Jimmy, timing the step takes no talent, but it takes a lot of discipline and concentration, which is hard to maintain. I mean, I don't know if I'd say that takes no talent. I mean, that's kind of a talent in its own right. Like, I mean, maybe if you mean in terms of athleticism, right? But finding timing, it's like reflexes and all that kind of thing. So I don't know if I'd say that's no talent whatsoever. It's that obviously not many people can do that. So I think that's kind of all you need there. As JR says, Jalen Turner is a problem. Yeah, that was incredible too. That was a performance that I completely forgot about that one. That got completely overshadowed by some other things. But yeah, that was definitely a highlight of the night. He man, yeah, I wasn't sold on him really. I mean, until then, he was looking good in some fights, but that was crazy how he did that to Brad. And Go says, here's an example. Henry Cejudo laid the blueprint to beat Dom Cruz, but more talented fighters can't replicate it due to lack of discipline. It takes a truly special fighter that has both discipline and talent melding together to beat high caliber opponents like Max or Cruz. There you go. So, I mean, hey, he's admitting that it takes talent too. Makoto says, I saw the Kayla Harrison fight. Was that stoppage early? Yeah, I think so. It did not look, like I said, Caitlin was moving and they weren't very hard shots. Like, yeah, it was weird. But again, whatever, I guess. Unfortunate. These things happen. But all right, now here we are. We'll move on to RIZIN 36, which was good fun action as always. Let me get my slides up here. These are a little bit weirder because they are not tabs, but image slides. So I have to go like this. For Sarioshima defeating Miyu Yamamoto via split decision in a pretty darn good fight that played out for the most part as expected, or as it should have. Miyu fought very smart in this fight and used her wrestling mainly in a defensive fashion, as last week I was saying she should have, and to use her striking, which was great to see because obviously Siori was very threatening, as always, from the bottom. And, was working for some things in that first round. Very fun, scrambly round and whatnot. But and she was sneaking in some good head kicks and just overall kicks there, as you could see in that picture. Was Oshima as the fight went on, and her movement I thought looked a little bit better. Still kind of rushes in with her defense very open, but she looked pretty solid. But honestly, I thought I was expecting Miyu to get the decision in this one. I'll have to rewatch it again, but I was pretty surprised that they gave it to Siori. Felt kind of like one of those close but clear wins for Miyu. And even in defeat, again, I'll have to rewatch it. Even in defeat, she showed that she is still one of the very best in the world, despite nearly being 50 years old and able to do the stuff that she was against Siori. I mean, my God, man, she has to be one of the strongest grandmas on the planet. I mean, her base is just insane. Like, there was no chance for Siori to get her down. Whenever she tried to, it was just like, nope, not moving. You're going down instead. And then her control from the top, top notch. Sad lifetime of wrestling. I mean, she's double the years that Siori has had on the planet. So this played out about as it should have, and it was expected to, at least, from both the approaches that both would take. But in the end, I was surprised that it went the way it did. So I still think Miyu looked great even in defeat. Really big bummer for her. Close fight though, as I said, but felt clearish. And Oshima keeps on keeping on. So it was fun. It was a really fun fight. I would have loved to see 2 more rounds, but we don't get those. So good stuff. I recommend checking that one out if you guys missed it. And Rain says, how do you watch RIZIN? So they have a new platform called RIZIN Stream Pass, pretty much their version of Fight Pass, but it has all their stuff on it now, everything. So from the live events to full archives, library, and all that. So RIZIN Stream Pass, they should probably have the links on like their Twitter and stuff, Rain. But yeah. And apparently Rain says he tried to pirate, but it would not work. I don't have explanations for that. Makoto says he also tried to watch but could not. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, this was their first event with Stream Pass, so maybe you guys had trouble finding it, I would imagine. But yeah, that is where it is now. And Jimmy says, do you want to see Oshima versus Izawa? Of course I do, Jimmy. I would absolutely love to see that fight. Do I want to see it next? I mean, I guess that would probably be the most logical fight, even though I think we should honestly get Oshima versus Hime, get the rematch there because of the fact that Hime did beat Oshima, just 2 fights ago. So I feel like that needs to happen, and I think she should have got the title shot after that, not Mori. Kind of strange how that happened, but is what it is. So I think in an ideal situation, that's what should be next. And then for Seka, that obviously leaves her out there. But I will just tell you guys that I know for a fact that this fight will not be happening next. So stay tuned. There should be some news coming out this week. But we have some exciting things in the atomweight division coming up. But I can't say anything yet. But I can tell you that we 100% will not be getting that fight next, unless maybe some injuries or something happens. So there's your tease for the day. As JR says, did Sugar Sean's momentum diminish from the 276 no contest? Absolutely, it did. And he's not doing himself any favors post-fight. And Sammy says, I saw this. Awesome to hear. He says, I thought Miyu looked very good in this. She hit a single leg to body lock and was really impressive. Yeah, Miyu looked very damn good. And I was most impressed by the game plan, man. Like I said, she should have fought this way. Going into the fight, this was exactly how she should have fought, but I just didn't believe that she would. I thought she'd be too, stereotypical with her approach and just leaning completely on the wrestling, but she didn't do that from an offensive perspective. Yes, there were offensive moments, but she used it more defensively, even let Saori get up at some points. Like, this was a fantastic performance from Miyu. So, yeah, I completely agree with you. And again, I thought she won. And Jin says, speaking of a lifetime of wrestling, I saw that Ken Flo said that Weili during UFC 275 looked like she was wrestling her entire life. Is that a good take? At 275, yeah, she looked, I mean, I told you guys after that fight, I thought it was maybe Weili's best performance. So, yeah, it was very good. And Centro says, who will Miyu fight next? Great question. Who will Miyu fight next? She's fought so many of the top people. It's always interesting with somebody like Miyu who is nearly 50, but still going on so strong. Like, she is the anomaly of all anomalies. So it feels like we should be saying, well, that could be it for Miyu. Like, that could have been her last fight. But with her, I don't think I think she's feeling like she wants to go until she physically cannot anymore. And that, who knows how long that could be. So who should be next for her? Let's see. I don't know. I would love, honestly, to see her like go to Invicta and, not fight Del Boni right away or nothing like that. But it'd be cool to see her kind of get a new landscape. That'd be really fun. Or if they brought somebody over, but off the top of my head, kind of hard to think. They could do Sarame. That probably makes sense. Who, she just lost to Kana in her last fight. I think that's probably the one to make if she's not going to go, and probably won't go to Invicta, of course, right? But I think that'd be fun to see her face. Maybe maybe Zapatella could be a fun one, from the wrestling standpoint there. That makes sense too. I don't know what's going on with Ashley Cummins. She hasn't fought since her fight with Jin, the rematch. But I would assume probably Sarame. That could work. As Ghost says, I feel bad for me. She looked great despite being 1,000 years old. She always looks great despite being 1,000 years old. Ghost, come on. But yeah, it was. I was surprised by that decision. And Reese says, as Jimmy likes to say, Drake's Broad Horizon is the only thing good for Ryzen and Kyoji. Well, I disagree, but I appreciate the compliment all the same. James says, can we laugh at the take that Rose fans are saying that Rose deserves a rematch with Carla since Rose is clearly a better fighter? Rose fans are on Brian Campbell. Yeah, no, that's silly. That is silly. All right, so we'll move on. As I mentioned, Morisuda, the 17-year-old prodigy child. My goodness, how impressive does she continue to be as she defeats Nisei via first-round submission and armbar at 212. Let me pull this one up here. We got a great still shot right there. Some pretty good armbar work over the weekend. But yeah, this doesn't surprise me at all. You guys know I haven't been too high on Nisei, and Mori, on the other hand, been quite high on. She's been submitting everybody, and for 17, that's insane. Absolutely insane how good she's been. Fantastic killer instinct, great jiu-jitsu for her age. And I mean, she told me before the fight she wants to fight 50 times. That's her goal. And at this rate, that was her 9th. She's well on her way there at just 17 years old. Absolutely insane. Going to continue to get better and better. I mean, it is so scary to see the talent, the youthful talent at atomweight right now. You look at Seika Izawa and then Morisuda, who is 6 years younger than her and still like this good already. It's just kind of insane how these atomweights are coming out of nowhere and being so good. And just to make Seka even more impressive, Maury said that if you did not see that interview on Broad Horizon episode 16, go check it out. She said that she has trained with Seka before, and Seka has absolutely dominated her. So it's like, man, there are levels to greatness, and Seka Izawa is already up there, if we're to go by Suda's words. But yeah, this was a great performance from her, really. Her striking looked pretty sharp, too, for as long as the fight was on the feet. Like, she hasn't got to show it off too much, but she looked pretty fine and comfortable there before, obviously, things went to the ground, and it was game over. So, love me some Morisuda. She is very fun to watch. So, yeah, good stuff there. And Jimmy says, which one is 17 years old? He's like, oh, I got you. And Alvin says, what an incredible thing to do at such a young age. Great to see a submission win where no one gets hurt. Well, yes, we'll get to the opposite of that in a moment here, Alvin. As Ryan says, Tony Ferguson is the type of fighter to be Whaley's favorite fighter. Did that improvised spinning back fist off the side kick channel the spirit of Prime Tony? I mean, I guess you could say that, but I did not assume that whatsoever. That didn't come to mind when it happened, Rain. But I can see kind of the comparison. We've seen Tony obviously do plenty of spinning shits in the past, as he would say. I always remember when he was running away from Lando Venata, just throwing elbows from behind. What a crazy fight that was. So, all right, that was RIZIN 36, my friends. Very good stuff, as expected. Looking forward to seeing, well, what's all coming with the atomweight division. It's looking good. It's looking very good. But now we move on to UFC 276 with just the 2 fights, flyweight and bantamweight. And we're going to start off with the one that happened most recently, as we always do, which was flyweight. Macy Barber defeating Jessica Eye via unanimous decision, 29-28 on 2 cards, and then the 30-27. This fight was not close at all. I disagree fairly strongly with the round 2 being given to Jessica Eye. Yes, she had 3 minutes and 52 seconds of control time, but she did little to no impact or damage with them, in my opinion. I don't think that should have won her the round, even though Macy didn't do a whole lot more. still was more effective with the stuff that she was doing. And then the other rounds of this fight was all Macy. I mean, just beating her up in tight in the clinch like this. Okay, you want to talk about great game plans from Miyu Yamamoto? Then we flip to very bad, very poor game plans from Jessica Ai, who was continually finding her way into those clinch battles and getting beat up for it. Like, how do you not learn from kind of those moments? But I don't know. Macy was doing fine everywhere, and she continues to look good. She's coming around to being a pretty complete fighter, I think, even though it is problematic. It is quite problematic for her to be taken down and controlled by Jessica Ai, of all people, who is not known for her superior grappling. So that was definitely a problem. But other than that, Macy looked just fine. So she'll need to work on that as she continues to climb up the rankings, and definitely against better grapplers, who there are plenty better than Jessica Ai. So yeah, good performance. And then obviously afterward, Jessica Ai retired. And I mean, that was going to be her last fight anyways, off a loss. I don't know what that would have made her. 4 losses in a row, 1-6 in her last, no, 1-5 in her last 6 or something like that. So we kind of knew this could have been the end of old Evil Eye. So wishing her the best in her life after fighting, whatever she wants to do. Maybe she'll get on Joe Rogan like she wants, but still going to hold my breath on that one. But yes, congratulations to her on a career in MMA. As going back to the other fight real quick, or the other talk, Centro says, so does training with high-level fighters like Izawa help her with development of a young fighter? Absolutely. I mean, getting the rub and working with high-level fighters is always a good thing. You know, the more you get beat up, the more, not beat up necessarily, I should say, but the more you get kind of outworked and whatnot, makes you want to work harder and grow, and shows you things you can learn from. So yeah, that's definitely not a bad thing whatsoever. And Jin says, I did not like this fight. Fair enough. As Go says, this fight was not good, period. Both girls didn't know how to clinch fight. Centro says, I thought this fight was not good because of both fighters. Okay. As Go says, Macy was trying to elbow before getting a frame. That's pretty basic stuff. Centro says, I don't understand why this was on the card, and why did Dana was promoting it on Kevin Ellio's show. Jess versus Julia was way better, in my opinion. Makoto says, I bet Drake has more invitations to Joe Rogan than Jessica Ai. Oh my goodness. And James was cooking a risotto during this. All right. No one was interested. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't super memorable, but I think that Macy did what she was supposed to do. And so, all right, JR got some big one here. Let's see what this looks like on the screen. This completely covers it. Let me see, what are we working with here? Should Dana relinquish control of the UFC? It seems like after the monumental sell a while back, more controversy has crept in. Fighter pay, controversial outcomes, unnecessary rematches, scale fiasco, etc. It seems that Dana has taken things personally when creating matchups, and who isn't getting a push. I know that ultimately he's a promoter focusing on the bottom line, but it feels different to me now. Was he even at 276? Well, I mean, if we're to go by what he has said, JR, he says that he still loves it just as much. And I think you make some pretty interesting and fair points there. But was he at 276? It did not look like it. I have no idea what he is doing or was doing. He was in Vegas. We know that much. But doing what? Who knows? So that's kind of an all over the place kind of question there. But he's never going to relinquish the control. Like, let's stop with that. If Dana goes away, it's because Disney or Endeavor, whomever, kicks him out of there. And they probably won't do that because he, as much as we may disagree with some of his moves, he understands the business better than anybody. And that can be unfortunate in some ways, like I say there, but that is not happening. He's not giving it up himself unless he just gets completely overwhelmed. But at this stage, doubt that's going to be the case because he's been going on strong. So Jin says, Jess and Yulia went after each other from the start. I like that fight. Jess, sad to see Jess lose, but good performance by Yulia. Completely agree there, Jin. So yeah, let's get into that one. As Ghost says, Stoliarenko bring back the no hands pass. That was beautiful. Breaking the C clamp was gorgeous. So yes, Yulia Stoliarenko defeated friend of the show, Jessie Jess, via first round submission, armbar at 42 seconds. My goodness, this was this was definitely a bummer from the obvious Jessie side of things, and especially when she came out looking as good as she did. And I mean, they both kind of stunned each other, I should say, at least early on. It felt like some good shots. Yulia fell to a knee when Jessie landed on her in that initial flurry. Man, just kind of, you wish that we would have got to see it unfold a little bit more like that. But Jessie kind of ran into a takedown, like great timing by Yulia to hit that there when she did and get things to the ground. And then from that, quickly whip out that armbar that she's oh so good at. It's like the Bruce Lee quote, right? Fear the man who has trained one kick 1,000 times more than 1,000 kicks one time. That's kind of the Yulia Stoliarenko story when it goes to the ground. So, yeah, there was kind of no hope for Jessie once that got wrapped up, unfortunately. And now she's going to need surgery. So hopefully going to be all okay and she's not out for too long. But yeah, that was a big time bummer to see. And especially just so fast. Like, would have loved to see it play out a bit more the way it was looking like it was going. But very smart and great stuff from Yulia to, again, hit the takedown, how she did and all that. And then get her first UFC win. Like, she absolutely needed that. So this was about as perfect as it could be for her. Save her job and all that stuff. And we got a question earlier about Jessie being cut. I don't think so. Yeah, I know that's 2 in a row for her now, but she's always willing to play, never turns things down. And yeah, I would be surprised. Maybe after another one, of course, that'd be 3 in a row, but yeah. James says, I thought the way this fight began was awesome. I thought the rest of the card was going to be like this. Yeah, unfortunately, not quite. There were definitely some good moments, but yeah. This goes the same thing with Glover, doing the same thing over and over again. Yep, that is a good point. But effective and efficient with it. Very much so. Well said, sir. Soren says, what did Ghost and Drake think of the last Stylebenders performance? It was, I mean, hey, I think effective and efficient is a good way to put it, even though Ghost wasn't talking about that. But that fight, I didn't think was very good either. That was kind of a little bit of a snoozer to me. I'm just not, I don't know. Like we've kind of seen, we know what to expect from Adesanya, I think, at this point. And like, he's never going to fight stupid. And why should he? And his opponents just having trouble to deal with him. So that's why the Pereira fight's very exciting for me, and I'm sure a lot of people. But yeah, I mean, I never thought Cannonier was gonna beat him. I really didn't. That fight went as exactly as I expected it to. So yeah, Adesanya did a good job. He won every round, in my opinion, but wasn't a good fight at all, I don't think. So yeah. But all right, so that is UFC 276. Again, a card with some pretty darn good moments, but overall, thought it was fairly weak. As Go says, credit to Jared for switching stances and changing his game plan. I liked it, but I can understand why you wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, that was good of him there, but I feel like he kind of, he figured things out a little bit too late. You know what I mean? Like, once he was getting a hold of Izzy and trying to take away the distance and space and make things a little more uncomfortable. When he had success, right? It was in the 4th round or the 3rd round? I think it was the 3rd round, right? Where he had, some people gave him that one, and I think 2 judges might have as well. So he, I think he just kind of figured things out a little bit too late, but that's the challenge of Stylebender. So yeah. And JR says he gives 276 a C-. I think that's pretty fair. That is pretty fair. I really liked the Robbie versus Barberena fight. Thought that was awesome. Duplessis versus Tavares was crazy. Enjoyed that one. I mean, how fucking tough is Brad Tavares? My God. And Volkanovski was obviously incredible too. Those are kind of the big highlights. And then Turner again, which got very much overlooked. And Go says, and I like that Izzy switched to low kicks on the closed side, which was smart and established jab throughout. Yeah, that's always good to see. But, it's like I've seen it so many times now. All right, let's get to the news. There is a lot, so we'll do our best to breeze through it as we always do every week. And I am looking forward to this one. I'll be there as at flyweight, we have the return of Vanessa Porto taking on Vita Ortega, Bellator 283 on July 22nd in Tacoma, Washington. Bellator is coming out to see your boy. How nice of them. So I can drive to this event. That's always fun and exciting. Don't have to get on a plane to go see some fights. Sign me up. I've only had to do that once. So, and I was watching just as a fan that last time. So I'll be better seats. We'll be working, but better seats is always fun. Better access, all that stuff. So yeah, very much looking forward to seeing Vanessa Porto fight in person. I have seen Vita fight in person before. It was the Lima fight. I was there for that one. But yeah, this will be good. Looking forward to it. Feels like it's been quite a while since Vanessa Porto's last fight with Joanny. And yes, she just fought last week or whenever that was. But yeah, this is a good one. Ranked flyweights. Looking forward to it. No problems here with this matchmaking. That will be fun. I cannot wait to see that. That's a great card that Bellator has given us up here in Washington. So I'm excited for that. Looking forward to it. No complaints. Can't complain. And sticking with Bellator flyweight news, I'm sure that some of you will be happy about this, but the Valerie Lareta project is officially over in MMA. As I know, I put this as she's retiring from MMA, but I don't think she technically said that. But she is leaving MMA and has signed a deal with the WWE, so she's going to go be a professional wrestler. And we'll see how that works out. Like there's nothing that I've ever seen from her to tell us that she'll be good at that. Obviously she has, her background in fighting and whatnot. So that's always a great character to use, but I don't know. I personally haven't seen anything. I mean, good for her. Yeah, I mean, it's a great thing for her. Obviously, make your money, do your thing. But she talked so much about wanting to be the best fighter, and here we are. Could still come back though. She is still very young. You forget how young that she is. But yeah, still super duper green. So I think if she ever comes back to MMA, it's not like she's gonna be a whole lot better. I mean, from when we last saw her, So good luck and congratulations, Valerie. That is, I think, all we can say about that. Then we move on to flyweights still, as Miranda Maverick and Shannon Young are going to have a rematch at UFC 278 on August 20th, Salt Lake City. That is the Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards 2 card as well. And if you guys are wondering, wait, when did they fight each other? Well, it was actually on the Phoenix series, the second one. That Maverick didn't win that, did she? She did win it, right? Let me see here. She did win it. Yeah, she beat Deanna Bennett in the finals. Okay, I was tripping out there for a second. But yeah, so Miranda Maverick, the first time around, she defeated Shanna Young via rear naked choke in the first round. Good stuff there from her. 2 fights in one night, or 3 fights in one night is what they do. Crazy how that was. When's the next Phoenix series, Invicta? Let's get those back. Those are always fun. Those are always real fun. Should ask Shannon. You know what? I might hit her up, text her after this. Like, Shannon, when's the next Phoenix series? But yeah, so this fight is going down. A little bit surprising to me, not what I would have expected. Yes, Shanna Young just got her first win in the UFC. Was it the Mazzani fight? I don't even remember, but it was right, because she finished her. And now she gets Maverick, who is, I'd say, a decent bit up the totem pole compared to her. And then Maverick, had the good rebound win her last time out against Sabina, wasn't it? So a little bit surprised to see this one get made, but it's fine, I guess. Neither are top 15 at the moment. At least I don't think Maverick is, right? But yeah, see if it goes any different. than the first one. I'll hold my breath there. So we move to the strawweight division now as Angela Hill is taking on Lupita Godinez at the October 15th UFC Fight Night. Quite a ways out. And I will tell you right now, I mean, you want to talk about it. I don't think we'll ever see, I don't know if we'll ever see Angela Hill get cut, but she is getting up there in age. And if she loses, we could see another case here. Felice Herrig, Jessica Ai, all these fighters retiring now off of losses. I think this could be the one. Because Angela Hill, well, I don't know how many losses that would be in a row for her, but against Loopy, who, my goodness, you want to talk about a pretty rough matchup here for somebody who is out of the rankings right now, right? I don't think Loopy's ranked. At least I wouldn't say she should be necessarily, but somebody at the back end, a decent step down for Angela Hill compared to who she generally has been fighting. This is a tough matchup for her. Quite tough, I think. So I think the odds will be interesting on this once they come out, but could be the last Angie Hill fight that we get. So we'll see. Not mad at the matchmaking though. I think I'm pretty fine with it. And in all reality, Angela's probably ranked, isn't she? But I disagree with that as well. Let's look really quick, just to settle this, because now I'm kind of curious. Yeah, Angela Hill is 13. That's just a little bit wrong. And Loopy is not in the rankings. Luana Pinheiro is at 15 right now, who we're waiting to see come back. I'm excited to see whenever that will be. But and it looks like, is there a tie in here? It seems like there's too many people at strawweight. Oh, no, never mind. It's the pound for pound is right next to it. Anyway, yes, this fight, I think, favors Loopy quite a bit. So, and we have quite a ways away till that happens. So, October. That might be the latest fight booked so far. My goodness. All right, now we get to some bittersweet news as at bantamweight, or at least where she's mostly fought. Former Strikeforce and Invicta champ, one of the most underrated fighters of all time, one of Canada's best fighters of all time, Sarah Kaufman has retired from MMA. Very sad that Sarah Kaufman did not get her second run in the UFC. Never should have left the UFC in the first place. Had that stint with Invicta where she became champ, as you can see right there, and then went to try and win the PFL at 155 when she has been a bantamweight her whole career. And her last fight was that one in the, what the hell was that thing called? That Palace Fighting Championship or something like that, the all women's card in Canada. And that was a featherweight fight, I think, for her, but she won it. Don't even remember who was against that she fought, but yeah, I mean, congrats to Sarah on a great career. Wishing her all the best. But it's just such a bummer to see that she didn't get her rightful shot back in the UFC, or kind of just the whole respect that she deserves from the beginning, because the division sure could have used her. She would have beat people. It's just very strange. We'll never know. Maybe she'll speak about it soon and kind of give us like the inside details about what went wrong, because there just seems like there had to be more to that story and why they didn't like Sarah, because there's no reason for her not to be on the roster. Really wasn't. So yes, thanks for the memories, Kaufman. Great times indeed. Put on some very good fights over the years, especially in the Strikeforce days. So classics with Alexis Davis, fought Misha, plenty of others. And we will move on now. Just two more fights here on the news lineup, you guys. At strawweight, Elise Reed getting back in action as she is replacing Hannah Cyphers and welcoming Super Melissa Martinez to the octagon at UFC The Fight Night on September 10th. Of course, Melissa Martinez, the former Combate Americas champion. It is now Combate Global. But she has not fought since that incredible robbery against Desiree Yanez, where she did win the title. And I'm going to bring that up every time because it was horrible. But Super Melly is still a great prospect, of course. Very curious to see how she comes back after the layoff, but taking on Elise Reed, who's been quite active. This is a harder debut for her, obviously, as Hannah Cyphers has not been doing too great in her UFC stretch and hasn't fought in a while either. But now she is out for who knows what reasons. So at least Reed comes to save the day. Fine with this, totally fine. Newcomer coming in, replacement. This is just kind of all over the place. But looking forward to see Super Melly in the UFC. That is the big thing here. As I almost just closed out of the stream. So shows you where I'm at now. But all right. And then we move on to a fight that was announced, I believe, yesterday. Flyweight Ariane Lipski, the Queen of Violence, is back taking on Priscilla Cachoeira, UFC Vegas 59 on August 6th. This might have been announced today, actually. So this fight was supposed to happen in 2019. I don't think this was supposed to be Ariane's debut in the UFC, but it was booked when she kind of was early on there, obviously. Now, both coming off wins, the Ji-Yeon Kim win for Cachoeira, which I think a lot of people thought she lost that one. It was obviously a crazy fight. And then for Lipski, I forget who she just beat as well, even though I was looking at it earlier, but this fight has all the makings, of being absolutely insane. And Lipski is 100%. I mean, we know what we're getting with Priscilla Cachoeira at this point, right? I mean, crazy brawls, walking forward, a zombie coming at you with negative defense points on the grappling. If you want to beat her, just take her down, push her over. It'll be nice and easy. But people don't do that for some reason, at least all the time. Ji-Yeon Kim didn't do it. Lipski wants to win as easily as she can. She will wrestle the shit out of Priscilla. But she probably won't do that because she loves to strike. She's the violence queen. And if she does, she will piece up Priscilla for as long as she can until she probably tires out, and Priscilla will have a great third round and land some good shots and make it a crazy fight. But in terms of entertainment value, this has the potential to be pretty darn crazy and good. But if you're fighting Priscilla Cachoeira, anybody, please, you should know by now, all you have to do is take her down. It's plain and simple. She has some of the worst takedown defense that I've seen, quite frankly. So unless she's figured that out, you know exactly how to beat this woman. But all that aside, I don't hate it. I don't hate it because of the madness that it can bring. And I am always down to see some Lipski violence. You guys know how it is. So, all right, that concludes the news portion of the show today, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in for such a good time. Let's see what everyone's saying now before we get to the previews. Where are we? Yuna is here, says, hi, Drake. John Yadpech, fangirl here. Will you be back to live events to cover them? Yes, Yuna, if you missed it earlier, I did say that I will be at Bellator 283 this month in a couple weeks. July 22nd is when that event is. And then, excuse me, the week after that, actually, let me look at my calendar. Yeah, the Tuesday after that, I will be going to Contender Series just for the day in Vegas. So those are the only things lined up right this second. Who knows what'll happen with the PFL? I mean, that'd be crazy to go to the UK, right? I might have to consider. But as of right now, we're just looking at Bellator this month and then the Contender Series, which I'm assuming is the first Contender Series of this next season. Has to be, right? So, yeah. And Yuna says, if you interview Whaley, can you ask her how she met such an awesome pad holder? Sure, I can do that. Or I could ask him himself, as what was that, Jumbo said to interview him. JR says, was the Chandler Poirier dust up a work? I don't think so. I don't think those guys would be the ones to do that. So I think it was real. And I think that fight makes all the sense in the world. What are we doing, UFC? Do the right thing. Make it happen right now. And it says, why do you think that Adesanya gets so much criticism? I thought he looked good, but I really like that style, so maybe I am biased. Yeah, I mean, that could be it. again, it's just one of those things where like he's getting well. He's a guy who's got a big personality, right? And he talks about finishing people and doing all these crazy things. And he walks out with his Undertaker walkout with an urn that says Jared Cannonier's name on it. And then he goes out and doesn't destroy the guy. A lot of people don't really like that, you know. They want to see the talk backed up with that same enthusiasm, which that was not quite the performance that we got out of him and haven't got out of him necessarily in some of these fights recently. Probably not since the Costa one, right? So, yeah. And Joe says, Yuna, I like that John Yedpetch fangirl. James says, I've seen people harassing Carla Esparza that she's afraid of Weili. As a fan of Weili, I feel bad for her because Weili. I think I understand you. James says, I had the same thing happen to her. Oh, for her because Weili had the same thing happen to her after she lost. Do you think it would get this out of hand? No, it's been very, very extreme actually. So I think definitely worse than Weili. I mean, not obviously different types, right? You know, there was the racism and all that bullshit, but nobody appears to be on Carla's side for the most part. At least practically 95% of the stuff that you'll see out there. And Rain says, yeah, James and Drake, it's pretty bad. Carla had to limit the comments on her tweets and Instagram, but then again, Weili had racism hurtled towards her, but kept everything open. I'm also sure Weili did not check out that stuff as much, and there's obviously language barrier, yada yada. Like the people who are being racist to Weili don't speak Chinese or Mandarin, right? So I'm sure that those comments, from what she could easily decipher, were not in her language. You know what I mean? If you get what I mean. It sounds like I said that wrong, but yeah. And Cinder says, do you remember the narrative that Weili was washed and not the same fighter after 248? Seems silly in hindsight, right? 248. I don't remember it after that one. That's really stupid if people said that. That doesn't make any sense. Justice Drake is the best. Thank you, Zhao. But my heart belongs to John Yadpet, Zhang's head striking coach. That is fine, you guys. Someone else has my heart. But Zhao, I still love Drake. Oh, too kind. Too kind. Rain says, is Carla Esparza really injured? I saw that she's hosting an MMA and wrestling seminar at the end of this month, and I saw that rolling in the gi last week. She seems pretty suspicious. Well, you can do seminars without actually engaging, right? Like teaching and whatnot. You don't have to actually get in there. And what it's thumb stuff too, right? So that's what she said. She is having thumb injuries, and what she should have had her MRIs last week or this week. So guess we'll see there. But it's like you can tolerate it, I'm sure, depending on whatever it is. Like we don't know exactly what's going on with her until we have some proof. But so we can only take things at face value. And Craig says, hi, Drake. When do you think Weili will get the title shot? I think the fight will happen before the year's over. I do. Hopefully, it's July right now. July, August, September. End of September would be really cool. That'd be like the most realistic early date, right? Probably won't happen, but that November card with 281 that Weili did suggest, I think would be perfect. And then what? If not, then you got it's September, October, or November, right? I always even though my birthday's in October, I get it flip-flopped with November a lot. So October, then that'd be cool. Before, the sooner the better always. But Ruiz says, how funny would it be if Esparza would take the Rodriguez rematch for her first title defense? Wouldn't it be funny? I mean, she would. She clearly would. I feel like people would accuse her of ducking Weili. Of course, 100% they would, which is a win-win for Weili in the end, even with no title shot. That would be, that'd be fine for her. MMA Arts says Lipsky should win this and beat this girlfriend beater. Oh yes, that was alleged, right? There was some rumor stories about that. I never allegedly, but appreciate the comment. MMA Art. Since I heard in Downward Elbow podcast and Heavy Hands that Weili with wrestling and changing game plans from fight to fight, makes her exciting fighter to look forward to. Do you agree with that? Absolutely. Yeah, of course. I mean, yes, he's plain and simple. James, lots of people have been saying to expose Weili Ped use. She doesn't get tested. Well, when she gets 25 clean tests from USADA, people are now saying USADA has always been unreliable. So which is it? It's I don't even think that should be entertained, James. So I don't really have much to say about that. We know that she's getting tested, right? And I was about to go to USADA.com and look, but I don't even need to. Um, Greg says, "Do you think it will be Abu Dhabi? How does the UFC make matches like that?" I mean, if you kind of look at the last ones, they'll decide who. Look at where people are in the world. I think that's kind of you want to make it easier for the fighters if you can. So yeah, I think that's typically how it goes. And if it's a pay-per-view, then they want it to be big as well. So that's kind of how it works out. As Jimmy says, who would be the A side of Esparza versus Whaley? Whaley was considered the B side in her last two fights. Well, yeah, it would definitely be Whaley. I think you guys know the answer to like a lot of these questions. And Go says, "Can I answer a lot of times? You think they hate him because they don't understand what he's doing?" I don't know about that. Even if they did and do understand his tactics and strategy, well, I mean, I don't know. I guess you have a point there. I was thinking like a lot of casuals, they definitely don't understand what you're talking about, but because they just want to see, kind of the wild, sloppy brawling, all that good stuff. Not good stuff, but you know what I mean. So, yeah, I guess that's true. As JR says, what's next for Holloway? I'm guessing moving weight classes. He could, but I mean, he probably should actually. He's lost 3 times to the champion, so yeah, he 100% should do that. I think you're right. As Jumbo says, can you ask Mr. Yadpech where he learned to strike and teach striking? I can if I get a hold of him. If I get a hold of him, I'll have to check Instagram and whatnot, right? Just lots of fans of Whaley's Padman. Ever seen anything like that? No, I have not. And Sammy says, what's your take on MMA fighting? I love MMA fighting. I mean, I work for them, so they've always been one of my favorites. Nothing bad to say about MMA fighting, even if I wasn't working with them. So, yes. I think they're great. I love all those guys. Sammy says, seems like hot takes and ridiculous nonsense. Why can't they formulate tastes like yours? Takes like yours. Well, not everybody is me, Sammy. That's the beauty of me, right? Trying to be my own guy over here, but I mean, there's obviously some hot takes there, but again, that's kind of what makes people unique, right? You want people to be real and honest. I wouldn't say ridiculous nonsense, but definitely some things that are out there and kind of fun and original. I mean, that's what it's trying to be. MMA fighting is all about originality if you pay attention, whether that's originality you agree with or not. So, yeah. As MMA Art says, who do you think wins Britain Hart versus Heather Hardy in BKFC? Is that happening? Is that happening? I mean, I honestly do not care about boxing, especially or bare knuckle MMA Art, but Heather Hardy is the better boxer, so I will take her in that if it is happening. And Sammy says, where they are well thought. Not sure what that's referencing. And she says no. It's MAO says no, it's not happening yet. Okay, well, if it does happen, I would definitely take Heather Hardy. And Jimmy says, will you face Jed again? If it comes to me, I will. If it comes to me, I will. But I want to face somebody new. You guys know this. And Ghost says, why isn't Izawa versus Hamasaki 2 on YouTube? So that card, what RIZIN 35, the whole thing isn't on YouTube yet because it's like right in the middle. That was kind of happening as they transitioned off of Live Now and whatnot and set up Stream Pass. So it is not going to be on YouTube now. So you'll have to, at least I doubt it will be. So you'll have to go sign up for Stream Pass. So Stream Pass is only $5 a month, US dollars. I think what 440 yen or something. I don't know quite the translations there, but it's like $5 a month, and that's just at the moment. Like once it fully kicks in, as they're calling it, it'll be $8 a month. But it's not too bad. So everything there. And Go says no. It's just one of his favorite fights. Yeah, totally fair. So yeah. Unless you have the replay of the whole event, Ghost, you can go watch on. You should be able to still watch on Live Now, but yeah, it should be on Stream Pass at this exact moment. So, and JR says, looks like John Jones has two choices: Stipe or Ngannou. Who do you think he gets? It completely depends on how healthy Ngannou is, JR, 100%. So if he's ready to fight, then that'll happen. If not, then it'll be Stipe. So it's pretty plain and simple, I think. But okay, you guys, right at the hour mark, perfect time to start the UFC Vegas 58 preview with two fights that have completely been just not talked about whatsoever. Like when I was looking to set up the preview and lineup for this episode here, I was like, who is even fighting on this card if there is anybody fighting from the women? Because like with the UFC going back to places now, the Vegas cards feel like, I don't want to say minimal effort has been put into them, but much less, it feels pretty obvious to say. So you forget kind of what ends up on them. But we're kicking off with Antonina Shevchenko versus Courtney Casey at flyweight, and both of the fights on this card are at flyweight. At least I believe they are. Let me double check this. Yeah, second one is. So that's interesting. We'll get to that in a moment. But Antonina versus Casey is going down. And I don't know if I'm ready to say a must win for Antonina, but she could certainly use it. 1-3 in her last 4. She is the slight favorite. I think that is fair. Courtney Casey has that win over Jojua her last time out in a fight that she would have lost if Jojua was a little bit smarter. So in this one, Casey's going to have to become the grappler because we know that is kind of both of their weaknesses, really. And we have seen Antonina submit people before. Who was it that she submitted right here? Was it Pudilova, which was, kind of impressive to submit her. And then she beat Lipsky on the ground. Yeah, so it's like we have seen some moments of Antonina doing good on the ground. But again, against both of those fighters, actually, her last 2 wins were against fighters with not the best ground game. And Casey doesn't have the best ground game. So we could see that very much same result here. But I would imagine it would be from Casey trying to take the fight to the ground and getting countered. And then Antonina doing work from wherever it may be to submit or pummel her on the ground. But obviously on the feet, Antonina Shevchenko, one of the best strikers in the division. At a time, you could have argued the best. I mean, credential-wise, she is. The Muay Thai background that she has is unmatched in the division, unless I'm forgetting somebody. Obviously, Valentina is right up there, but Antonina was a better kickboxer. That's just fact of the matter. So, in this one, she'll want to do her thing on the feet, and she should be just fine, honestly. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if it does end up on the ground and go kind of the direction I'm mentioning there. And both two lanky flyweights, 5'8" versus 5'7", 68-inch reach to 67. So yeah, should be interesting while it lasts. I think that is fair to say. Feels like so long ago since that Casey O'Neill fight for Antonina. She was pretty active there for a hot minute. As you can see, the time between these is not too crazy. And for Casey, that does feel like it was a while ago as well. But yeah, and my tabs are getting messed up again. Why does this happen? All right. So, Ghost says we are at the less than off season up to UFC 277. It's hard to get excited for this month's fight. We had a great run starting from 275. Jin says, I don't know if you remember, but Joanna got a title shot when she was 1-3 in her last 4 after beating Watterson, and Rose got the title shot after beating Andrade. Why doesn't the same thing apply to Whaley? I mean, what? It is happening. It's pretty much the same thing. She's 1-2 in her last 3, right? So I don't know what you're talking about, Jin. Yeah, both of those were terrible. Those were both unjustifiable and undeserved. So she's in the same exact boat. So I don't know what you're talking about. Mary is here. Good to see you. She said, hello, Drake. I forgot to mention last week that Whaley said that she's willing to change her technique to suit a specific opponent. I mean, that's just smart game planning and fighting. So, yeah, I don't think that's anything new there, Mary, but appreciate the sentiment. So, I think Shevchenko versus Casey should be pretty fun, though. And I lean a little bit towards Antonina, if you could not tell. Casey has her work cut out for her. So Mary says, isn't that a hard thing to do, fight to fight? Not really. I mean, again, I think we talked about this, might have talked about it last week as well, Mary, but the more footage that you have of people at this stage, at this elite level, the more you can prepare for them. So I don't think it's that hard of a thing. And the better you are as a fighter and with your own preparation around yourself, it shouldn't be much of an issue. And since you have to learn something new every fight, yeah, it's just adapting. You get used to doing that, though. So I don't think it's too difficult when that is kind of, you get in that pattern and rhythm of doing that thing that you're talking about, right? And adjusting to certain styles. There's only so many styles, right? And even though everyone's different, you have a good foundation of what to expect from whomever it may be. But all right, the other flyweight fight is the return of Nina Nunes and kind of Cynthia Calvillo. So Cynthia Calvillo sticking it out with flyweight for now as Nina goes up for her second fight back since becoming a mother, and her first fight since the Dern fight. I'm getting all over the place now, but you know what I mean. Since she did return, first fight since returning and losing to Dern in that one good while ago now, as you can see. And then Calvillo obviously has been on just a real rough stretch. Desperately needs this win after getting destroyed by Andrea Lee and Andrade. And Chukagian did her thing on her. We got 5-4 versus 5-5, same reach there. These are both former strawweights, so I don't think we should. I feel like this was a fight that we were supposed to get earlier than this for some reason, but probably just thinking about them floating around each other. For Calvillo, I think that this matchup is actually moderately favorable if she can replicate kind of some past performances we've seen against Nina, whether it's with not necessarily Claudia, but we've seen some people have success against her when trying to out-grapple her, get her down, make it a bit ugly. Nina is a very underappreciated striker. She's been very good there. And of course, the Tatiana Suarez loss was that one right there, which she came on strong late in that one. If you remember, that was Tatiana's last fight. So we have seen her defend well, but not always the case. So for Cynthia, who is a strong wrestler and has kind of gotten away from it, especially the last two fights, all the fights she's losing, actually. Pretty much ever since she got on that good run and then lost to Carla in a fight that she thinks she didn't lose. It's we haven't seen it. Well, I guess she used it a lot against Jessica as well. So what am I talking about? That pretty much that won her the fight pretty good. But I think that she'll be at a disadvantage on the feet with Nina. And again, I don't know how rusty she'll be. It was good to get things shaken out, obviously, against Dern, even though it was a pretty quick fight and didn't go her way. But she's got some very nice kicks down low, very good leg kicks, mixes it up well. 36 now, so I mean, we'll see if age begins to become a factor here, but much sharper technique, I think, than Cynthia. And Cynthia's always had okay boxing, pretty serviceable depending on who you're fighting, but against Nina, don't know if it's going to play a part too much. And who knows, though? I mean, 7 months away, decent amount of time. We knew she just had to change something. Not sure what that could be just yet. We'll see. But back against the wall totally in this one. Like, she needs this win. So what are you going to do in that situation? Stick with your strength, ram your way through the opponent, get her down, beat her up, submit her if you can. That's what you should be doing when you need a win. Do not be silly. Do not play around in their area. So Cynthia should try and close the distance, get her up against the fence, eventually slowly work her way to the ground, or beat her up in tight if she can. But we'll see. This is very compelling, though, because it is at flyweight. for Nina. And who knows, maybe she'll have some more power here. She hasn't obviously been much of a finisher throughout her career, but that could be an interesting factor to look out for. You know, a healthier, well-fit Nina Nunes. So we shall see. And Go says, why is Nina going to flyweight? I think, I mean, she always wanted to after coming back from the pregnancy, but didn't obviously get Stern. So I think it was just kind of something she was planning on doing. I don't know why she didn't do it the first time, but yeah, I don't know. I don't have a specific reason. I think she has talked about her weight cuts before, but yeah. And Jen says, I mean, MMA Media didn't complain with Joanna or Rose, but they justify Whaley not getting it. They definitely complained, Jen. I mean, maybe not so much for Rose, but there's definitely some complaints there with Joanna. Yeah. I remember plenty of people being not too thrilled about that, but they liked the matchup at the same time. So that's also kind of a thing, right? As Pagoda says, what type of women's fights do you think elevates women in general? Watterson versus Penne? Yes, absolutely. Whaley versus Joanna. Megumi versus Frausto, I'm assuming. What type of fights put the women back in its development? I mean, it's always kind of weird to me to say a fight sets things back because it's only between the two fighters, right? The two specifically involved in that fight. And a lot of times you'll see it motivate people to do better, even if it is shitty. Like Carla versus Rose 2, for example, we've seen people talk about not wanting to fight that way and be better and all that kind of thing. So I don't know if that, I'm not sure if I've ever agreed with that kind of theory. You know what I mean? Andrew says, are you familiar with Michelle Nicolini? Yes, I saw that last week she was rolling with Whaley and teaching her some moves. That is a very good partner to have, Michelle Nicolini, a very talented jiu-jitsu player for sure, over in one championship. And Jimmy says, Cynthia main evented 2 years ago. Why did they do that? Why headline with your worst fight? I mean, yeah, that was an odd choice, no doubt about it. I mean, that whole card was not very strong from what I remember. But yeah, that was rough. Jimmy says, Carla versus Rose 2 set interest back 10 years. Well, I mean, I think specifically in terms of maybe both of the fighters, but I don't know about like overall. That certainly is not fair to say. Like, it's completely sexist to say that when you never ever say that about the men. Like, look at any fucking unranked bullshit heavyweight fight. No one ever says, oh, that just set MMA back 10 years. Well, then how the fuck can you say that about the women? Like, sorry to go off a little bit there, but it's just stupid to me. And he says, what makes Michelle Nicolini good? Grappler? What makes her a good grappler? Well, honestly, I'm not super familiar in terms of like watching her a whole bunch, but so I can't really speak to specifics. And the last time I did see her, she wasn't doing very well, obviously against Panda, right? But I mean, she's a black belt for a reason. She's been around for a while. And Sammy says Whaley versus Joanna to elevate MMA as a whole. Yeah, see, like, there you go. This doesn't have to be a gender thing. And I know this entire show is a gender thing, but it just is what it is, right? So, all right. Well, we can wrap up there, you guys. My goodness. I got a little exhausted real quick. I'm quite hungry as well. So, but yeah, that is UFC Vegas 58. We got the Battle of the Rafaels. Well, Rafael versus Rafael in the main event, right? That should be interesting. And yeah, we'll see how it turns out in Vegas this weekend. Looking forward to it as always. And for those of you who did join us here today and you are in America, please be safe today. If you are planning to do any sorts of celebrating or hanging out with whomever, please be safe because it is always a crazy time of year here on the 4th of July. So other than that, you guys, stay tuned to everything going on at MMA Mania. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. Notification bell, do all the stuffs. You know how it is. I am at DrakeRiggs_ on Twitter and as well on Instagram at MMA Mania on all your platforms. As for the shameless plugs, well, we did mention UFC 277 a little bit there. The Juliana Pena interview is still out. Got some stuff coming out. Emily Ducote, who's fighting, in 2 weeks? That is out as well. In terms of things that have been out and you can check out, Brought on Horizon episode 16, as I mentioned. Mauri Suda. But what is dropping today is my chat with Sarah McMahon, which was a very fun one. You know, so much history revolving around Sarah. Great person, individual, one of my favorites. So it was great to talk to her for the first time. Excited to get that out. It'll be out in about an hour or so here on the channel and MMAmania.com, of course. She's fighting Aspen Ladd on that Dominic Cruz card. So there you go. Two of my favorites going to be on there. So good chat with Sarah. That will be coming here momentarily. And then some other stuff in the works, of course, as always. But you guys, I think that is about it. And as Jumbo says, John Yodpetch soon, I will contact him for you guys. I will message him right after this if I can. So yes, appreciate you guys all so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, it means the world. And until next Monday, stay safe and stay sane, everybody. Peace out.